Everything has a purpose. Everything responds to an intention. You are not here by chance, lost in a sea of chaos. Science holds that the universe is the result of a series of random events, originating from a great explosion 13.8 billion years ago. And yet, from that apparent confusion, a perfect order emerged. Galaxies, planets, life, and conscious beings like you and me. Do you really believe this is coincidence? No, you are not here by chance. You are part of a design, a sacred pattern that dances among galaxies, that hides in your breath and reveals a forgotten truth. The universe is not something you observe from the outside. It is something you project from within. Imagine all the pieces of a clock scattered inside a box. You could shake it for 1 billion years and it would never assemble itself. And yet, here you are, a conscious being, the result of a perfection that defies all probability. Just one cell in your body contains a level of information so complex, precise, and self-regulated that it surpasses any storage system ever created by humanity. That's not coincidence, it's intention. What if you discovered that reality is not solid, but an illusion projected by your mind? That the universe doesn't limit you, but that you define it? That money, love, time, health, everything you long for is pure energy waiting for your command. Your thoughts, your emotions, your frequency. These are the hands assembling the clock of your existence. You are immersed in a hologram, an illusion woven from energy, vibration, and consciousness. And here is the secret. You, just as you were created through intention by the principle of fractality, have the same power to create your reality. Over the next few minutes, we will discover how the mind is the key that shapes the hologram. How, by mastering energy, you can alter the illusion, the matrix, in your favor. That money is a current of energy that flows to you when you align with its vibration, because the universe is like a mirror that reflects your thoughts, your emotions, and your frequency. The life you desire does not manifest by chance, but by your intention. This is the power you already carry within. This video will take you beyond the illusion, into the hidden laws that govern existence. Because by mastering these aspects, the mechanics of the hologram, the mastery of energy, and the power of the mind over matter, you become the architect of your reality. So let's shape it.
This is a sparring program, similar to the programmed reality of the Matrix.
It has the same basic rules like gravity. What you must learn is that these rules are no different than the rules of a computer system. Some of them can be bent, others can be broken.
Is it possible that we live in a hologram that we could alter if we knew how to do it? When you observe the world around you, it seems solid and unchanging. But what if reality were not as rigid as it appears? What if you could alter reality with your mind to shorten the manifestation time of your desires and live a life more aligned with your purpose? The holographic vision of the universe. The physical universe we inhabit is similar to a hologram, a projection originating from another dimensional plane, imperceptible to our senses, yet more fundamental and essential than our own. This theory has gained relevance in recent years as science progresses. This vision not only offers an innovative perspective on the structure of the cosmos, but is also deeply connected with our consciousness, providing a deeper understanding of psychic phenomena and the power of the human mind to influence reality. One of the most intriguing features of a hologram is that each part contains the entirety of the hologram. This suggests that within us, if we know how to access that depth, all the wisdom of the universe already resides. As poet William Blake said, "You can find the universe in a grain of sand." Within the framework of holographic theory, we can not only access information from the present, but also from the past and the future. Concepts like telepathy, precognitive dreams, the placebo and nocebo effects, or the law of attraction fit perfectly within this framework. We will explore all of this in detail throughout the video. If the universe is a kind of hologram, then reality is not fixed or solid, but rather malleable, like an image constantly changing. Just like in a hologram, where each fragment of a holographic image reflects the whole, the cosmos might work similarly. Each part contains a semblance of the whole. This implies that what we perceive as a solid reality is only a superficial manifestation. Just as a three-dimensional image in a hologram is, in reality, a projection generated by interference patterns, the universe could operate through a profound field of energy where everything is interconnected. If we accept this vision, the entirety of the universe, with its information from the present, past, and future, would be contained in every fragment, even within ourselves. This holographic concept is strikingly reflected in the human brain, which is as holographic as our universe. In the 1970s, Carl Pribram and David Bohm developed the theory that both the brain and the universe possess a holographic nature. Pribram suggested that the brain stores memory in a distributed manner rather than in specific areas, similar to a hologram where each part contains information about the whole. This could explain why memories persist even in individuals who have had portions of their brain removed due to illness or injury. Each person constantly emits information through their thoughts, actions, and emotions. All these fields of information interact, creating a hologram, a pattern of interference. We can assert that human consciousness is, in essence, an immense hologram of information shared across humanity. Phenomena such as telepathy and intuition would then be manifestations of this deep interconnection. At our core, we are one mind, a unified consciousness. The implications of this idea are astonishing, as everything we do and think not only affects us, but also influences everyone else. This can be clearly observed in phenomena like sympathetic resonance. A classic example involves two identically tuned violins. If a string is played on one, the corresponding string on the other will vibrate even though it has not been touched. This occurs because both are in tune, allowing energy to transfer easily between them due to their matching frequencies. A similar effect can be seen with pendulum clocks. When several clocks with pendulums of the same size are placed on a wall, although they may initially swing out of sync, over time, they will all start to tick in harmony. A minimal amount of energy transmitted through the wall causes the pendulums to synchronize, demonstrating how resonant systems tend to align. This principle applies to humans as well. The vibrations, thoughts, and emotions of one person can influence those around them, altering their vibrational state. Depending on our environment or the people we interact with, our vibrations can be affected. As we can see, the principle of resonance affects not only the physical environment, but also the human body and its subtle energies. Much like violins or pendulum clocks, our bodies are also a set of resonant elements. Two levels of reality. This holographic model implies that there are two levels of reality. One visible and concrete, like the chairs you sit in, the trees, or our bodies, and another deeper level, where everything dissolves into an ocean of interconnected holographic energy. At this level, the divisions between objects and beings are illusory. The quantum connection. When we observe matter at the atomic and subatomic levels, we find that it is mostly made up of empty space. Only a tiny fraction of its volume is occupied by the nucleus and electrons. Within the nucleus, protons and neutrons are composed of quarks and gluons, which are not matter in the traditional sense, but excitations of force fields. In quantum physics, the universe is believed to be composed of constantly fluctuating quantum fields. Subatomic particles, such as quarks and electrons, are simply vibrations of these fields. These fields represent forms of energy and probabilities, meaning that the more we analyze matter, the more we realize that what we perceive as solid is actually 99.99999% empty space. What we perceive as matter is actually energy organized in a specific way, vibrating at a certain frequency. The entire universe that we perceive as solid, tangible, and physical is not composed of matter in the traditional sense, but of energy. Quantum physicists call this fundamental energy the field. This field is defined as invisible forces in motion that influence the physical world. It's fascinating to see how this definition aligns with what has been used for millennia by sages and enlightened individuals from various traditions to describe the spirit. Our thoughts and emotions have a vibration and energy that can interact with this field, thereby shaping our reality. Everything in the universe is in constant vibration, and just as particles are organized according to their vibration, the same occurs on larger scales, like attracts like. Let's remember 2 of the 7 hermetic principles of the Kybalion. Everything vibrates, and as above, so below. Resonance. Resonance is the phenomenon that occurs when one vibration or energy frequency influences another, amplifying it. If you vibrate at a frequency of scarcity and fear, you will resonate with similar situations, increasing your level of vibration in the frequencies of fear and scarcity. Everything that resonates at the same frequency syncs up. The same happens in reverse. If you're vibrating positively, you will sync up with more positive situations, increasing your positive vibratory energy. In other words, our personal vibrations determine what we manifest in our lives, connecting us with experiences that are in tune with our own energy. As you raise the frequency of your vibration, the world around you adjusts to that new vibration. Thus, when you move to a higher dimension of consciousness, the reality you experience also changes, even creating retrocausal effects. Einstein once stated that the field is the sole agency governing the particle. It's not the particle that controls the particle, but the field. This implies that if we can modify the information in the field, we could influence matter itself. Typically, humans live with a materialistic understanding of reality, feeling at the mercy of life and victims of circumstances. This perspective leads us to react to our environment, building our lives based on the inputs and experiences life presents to us. And from our point of view, this approach seems completely reasonable since it aligns with what we perceive through our senses and how we've operated since childhood. What we often don't realize is that a significant portion of our reactions come from pre-installed programs in our subconscious mind, which govern around 70% of our behavior. During the first 7 years of life, a child's brain primarily operates in a theta state, a brainwave frequency of 4 to 8 Hz. This state is characteristic of active imagination, creativity, and a high susceptibility to subconscious programming. In theta, children absorb information from their environment without critical filters, adopting beliefs, behaviors, and emotional patterns that can influence them throughout their lives. Essentially, theta is both imagination and hypnosis, and it's estimated that 95% of our actions and decisions stem from these programs acquired in childhood. The subconscious mind doesn't think or create. It simply repeats behaviors as if a button is pressed. Meanwhile, the conscious mind houses our desires, dreams, and creativity. One functions like software running programs, while the other has the capacity to create, to be, to exist. You may wake up with a desire, but throughout the day, you repeat programs that don't necessarily support your dreams. When you wonder why things aren't working out, the answer might be that you're unaware that more than 60% of these subconscious programs are discouraging, self-destructive, and limiting. However, both quantum physics and epigenetics offer a different perspective. We are not merely victims of our environment and genetics. In reality, we are the creators of our experience. And what we see in our three-dimensional reality is a projection of our consciousness and subconscious programs. This opens up the possibility that by changing our consciousness, we can also change the reality we experience. Many might be shocked by these claims or dismiss them as New Age rhetoric, but this is what enlightened individuals who transcended the limitations of their minds and egos have been trying to convey. They realized that everything is Maya, as the Hindus call it, an illusion. Similarly, quantum physics and various researchers are reaching similar conclusions, suggesting that it's highly probable we are living in some form of simulation. Zhuangzi, one of ancient China's most important philosophers, reflected on this over 2,000 years ago when he wrote, "I dreamed I was a butterfly, fluttering around in the sky. Then I woke up. Now I wonder, am I a man who dreamed of being a butterfly, or am I a butterfly dreaming I am a man?" Consider this. Every night when we sleep, we dream. Entire worlds unfold within these dreams, indistinguishable from reality to us when we are immersed in them. In these dreams, countless events occur, and many characters appear. But where do these worlds and characters, which we perceive as separate from us, come from? Indeed, they arise solely from your own mind, from your consciousness. In a similar way, and according to the principle of fractality, the world we experience during our waking life is just another mental projection, but on a larger scale. As above, so below. As Albert Einstein once said, reality is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. If this is true, we should be able to alter reality to create the life we desire, just as you can change a dream once you become lucid through consciousness. Not the fragmented consciousness of our ego, but the consciousness of unity, the consciousness of the quantum field, of the all. Mind over matter. Thousands of years ago, people already spoke of the extraordinary abilities humans could develop, as described in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, an ancient text considered one of the cornerstones of yoga. In these sutras, it is mentioned that by perfecting concentration and directing attention precisely and consistently, the mind can acquire powers known as siddhis, or supernatural powers. Patanjali introduces a process called samyama, which consists of 3 stages: concentration, dharana, meditation, dhyana, and deep absorption, samadhi. This focused approach allows the yogi to influence the physical and energetic reality directly. Through this practice, it is explained that by focusing on different objects or states, it is possible to develop abilities that surpass what is usually understood as possible in the physical world. While these powers are not the ultimate goal of yoga, they arise as a result of mastering control over the mind and energy. Everything is energy. We live in a universe made up of energy. Everything around us, from what we consider solid to the most ethereal, is, at its core, energy vibrating at different frequencies. Quantum physics has shown that the world is not as solid as it seems. On a subatomic level, everything that exists is energy in the form of probabilities. This field, known as the quantum field, contains an infinite number of potentials, and the reality we experience seems to depend on which of these potentials we collapse with our attention. What is fascinating about this concept is that reality is not fixed or predetermined, but rather a dynamic field of possibilities. As we direct our attention to a particular potential, we influence the probability that this possibility will become our physical experience. In other words, the act of observing and focusing our energy on something has the power to modify the very nature of the reality we perceive. It is as if the human mind, by focusing on something specific, helps choose which probabilities materialize. When you focus your attention on something, you are not only directing your mind toward that object or idea, but you are also channeling your energy toward that specific potential, giving it more strength and increasing the likelihood of it manifesting in your reality. This is the power of concentrated attention. Although we cannot claim that simply focusing on something will collapse any possibility from the quantum field, what we can say is that, through the power of directed attention and the alignment of our vibration, we significantly influence the probabilities that our intentions will materialize. The power of attention. In order for a hologram to be projected, a concentrated beam of light, such as a laser, is required. This is what allows the latent image to be revealed and given a three-dimensional shape. Similarly, our attention functions like that concentrated beam of light. When we focus our attention precisely and steadily on a particular aspect of reality, we are illuminating that possibility within the quantum hologram, giving it form and projection in our perceptible world. Just as a laser projects the hologram with clarity and detail, our concentrated attention is what activates and materializes certain probabilities among all possible ones. By consciously directing our mental energy, we are projecting our personal reality, accessing different versions of the quantum hologram. The more focused our attention, the more defined and tangible the experience we collapse from the quantum field becomes. The key to controlling energy. As we've mentioned, energy is present everywhere. Everything in this perceptible world is composed and surrounded by that fundamental energy. Ancient civilizations had different names to describe it. In Japan, it was called ki, in China, chi, in India, prana, and the ancient Greeks referred to it as ether. These are different ways of referring to the same substance, that omnipresent life force which, in its most primordial state, precedes matter. This subtle energy is what we can learn to control, direct, and interact with, using techniques and practices that have been developed over millennia. In disciplines such as yoga, qigong, qigong, and tai chi, the existence of energy centers in the body called chakras is recognized. These centers act as energetic vortices that regulate the flow of energy at physical, mental, and spiritual levels. Each chakra is linked to different aspects of our life and well-being, from basic security in the root chakra to spiritual connection in the crown chakra. Through meditation, conscious breathing, and concentration on these energetic points, we can increase and redirect vital energy throughout the body, balancing the chakras and allowing energy to flow freely. As we can see, the key to this entire process lies in directed attention. Whether to activate the chakras or to perform healings with our hands, it is the ability to focus our mind that unlocks the flow of energy. When energy flows abundantly and balanced through our chakras, we experience a state of greater vitality, well-being, and mental clarity. This energy flow not only provides us with physical vitality, but also with a higher creative power. When we learn to consciously channel this energy, we can use it to manifest our desires and achieve our goals. In fact, many spiritual traditions maintain that our capacity for creation expands as energy flows freely through our body and mind. You can easily verify this by doing some breathing cycles. Try inhaling deeply, filling your abdomen and lungs, and then exhale effortlessly. Do 30 fast and deep breaths, letting the air naturally escape before filling yourself again. After the last exhale, hold your breath as long as possible without inhaling. When you need to breathe, take a deep inhalation and then breathe normally. This technique is known as Wim Hof breathing, famous for his life philosophy and for pushing his body to the limit through breathing exercises and cold water immersion. If you do 2 or 3 cycles of this breathing, it's highly likely that new ideas will suddenly pop into your mind. Creativity increases as prana or energy circulates through your body quickly and effectively. Try it. It's surprising. Prevent your energy from being drained. However, just as there are practices and habits that enhance our ability to channel this energy, there are also factors that prevent us from using it effectively, draining our reserves. For example, physical habits such as poor diet, lack of sleep, or a sedentary lifestyle can block the flow of energy and cause imbalances. Additionally, negative mental and emotional habits such as chronic stress, obsessive thoughts, or persistent negative emotions act as blockers of energy, preventing it from circulating properly. We live in an era where our attention is constantly being diverted, especially when we spend large amounts of time on social media, watching one video after another without any clear purpose or intention. This overexposure to rapid and fleeting stimuli, like reels or stories, has a direct effect on our minds. Our capacity for sustained attention is weakened. Every time we switch from one video to another without reflecting or deeply focusing on anything, we are training our brain to seek immediate gratification and avoid any prolonged effort of concentration. This constant bombardment of information is not designed by chance. Behind these platforms and their structure lies a much deeper and hidden purpose: to weaken our ability to focus attention. Why? Because when our attention is scattered and fragile, our ability to deliberately create our reality is also compromised. Focused attention is the means by which we direct our energy toward the potentials we want to manifest. When our attention is fragmented, we lose power over the reality we are creating, allowing external forces to shape our life experience. Instead of focusing our attention on our desires, aspirations, and personal growth, we fall into cycles of distraction and negativity, making it easier for others to implant their own agendas and shape global reality as they see fit. Increase your energy. When we prevent our energy from being drained by negative thoughts and emotions, we have more energy available to create the reality we desire. Instead of losing hours consuming negative news or distracting ourselves with purposeless content or actions, we can redirect our attention to project the life we want. The more we focus on this vision, the more that reality will manifest in our present. By using the law of attraction and the law of assumption, we project our mind toward that desired life, feeling it as part of our present, which allows us to align with it and make it increasingly real in our experience. Of course, our actions must align with our thoughts. It is crucial to act consistently, making decisions and taking actions that reinforce the vision of the life we want to manifest. The coherence between what we think, feel, and do is essential to effectively materialize our reality. To keep our energy intact and the body prepared to channel it, it is necessary to adopt habits that continuously strengthen both body and mind, not just during meditation. Creating our reality. To stop being victims of circumstances and become creators of our reality, we must reprogram our minds, replacing limiting and outdated programs with new, conscious, and empowering ones. Moreover, we must learn to create not only from matter, but also by accessing the quantum field and, through visualization, projecting our desires into the three-dimensional reality. Reprogramming the subconscious. The first thing we should do is become a witness, an observer of our own actions and behaviors. When we react to life's circumstances, we need to observe ourselves and identify our programs, especially the negative ones, and work on them. Instead of just reacting, we should stay alert, and even if we do react, reflect on that reaction to change it if it doesn't serve us. We may not change our reactions immediately, but through constant observation, we can gradually correct our automatic responses. So the first step is to become aware of our subconscious programs. Most of the limitations and deficiencies we experience in life stem from beliefs about deservingness and self-love. If you do not feel worthy of being loved or deserving of good things, you will unconsciously push away the possibility of good things coming into your life, no matter how much you consciously desire them. Replace limiting beliefs with positive affirmations. After identifying our limiting beliefs, especially those based on our self-love and self-esteem, we can listen to positive affirmations that reinforce those beliefs every night before sleeping. When we are about to sleep, our brainwaves decrease and move into theta, the same state we had when we were programmed as children. But this time, the intention is to choose how we reprogram ourselves. We can create affirmations based on our limiting beliefs and subconscious programs that we want to change and record them in an audio. These affirmations should always be stated in the present tense. Instead of saying, "I will be abundant," they should say, "I am abundant." The idea is to listen to these affirmations as we fall asleep and continue listening to them as we drift off, as our subconscious mind will keep hearing and integrating these affirmations. Including some relaxing music or, even better, binaural sounds can help. Essentially, what we are doing is self-hypnosis. Again, repetition is key here. Just like when you learn to drive or play an instrument, repetition is fundamental to introducing a new program. Be consistent. Creating from the quantum field. To create from the quantum field instead of from matter, we need to connect with the source and create from fullness. By focusing our attention on the present, we transform from physical beings to pure consciousness. In this state, we withdraw our energy from the three-dimensional reality, our senses, and our body, and deposit it into the void. This void is filled with frequencies and energy, with probabilities waiting to materialize into our three-dimensional reality. When you open up to the nothing, your brain becomes more coherent. The compartments that were previously divided unify, and the entire brain begins to resonate at the same frequency. This state of resonance makes the brain function as a single neural network, with synchronized hemispheres, creating a sense of fullness and connecting you with the field, with the whole. As the brain shifts from beta waves to slower waves, electrical signals are generated that represent your intention, and the clearer your intention, the stronger the signal. At the moment you stop being yourself and access this state of unity, you are impacting the consciousness of the whole as you have become that same consciousness. Then the entire universe responds to your request, synchronizing with your intention. But another key factor is the energy of your heart. Pure love is the energy of the source. Imagine you are a ship. Your mind's intention acts as the rudder that guides you, and your heart as the engine that propels you. You should fall in love with your desire, feeling it as if you are already experiencing it, feeling the joy of the desire already manifested in your life, and the magnetic field of your heart will take care of attracting it to your reality. The heart generates a magnetic field that extends up to 3 meters. The more coherent your heart is, the more energy it contains, and the more you can attract your future. You send the signal through your expanded consciousness and attract the experience through the feeling of your heart. You do not need to search for anything. When your energy resonates with a possibility in the quantum field, you begin to see synchronicities, coincidences, opportunities, and significant events that bring you closer to what you desire, not only in trivial details, but in transcendental aspects of your life. Law of attraction. This interaction between human consciousness and the quantum field is precisely what empowers the law of attraction. The ability to attract what we desire depends not only on thinking about it, but also on feeling and vibrating at the right frequency, which causes the universe to respond, aligning the circumstances, opportunities, and resources we need. The law of attraction posits that what we think and feel attracts into our lives what we are vibrationally aligned with. In other words, our personal vibration, which results from our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, acts like a magnet, drawing circumstances, people, and opportunities that resonate with that same frequency. This law is based on the idea that the universe responds to the energy we emit, a principle that can be understood in terms of quantum physics. When we emit a certain frequency, we are influencing the quantum field and directing our attention to a specific potential that, by the act of our observation and focus, increases its probability of manifesting into reality. As we align ourselves with a positive vibration, our desires and goals become more tangible because the universe begins to respond to this energy that is coherent with what we want to attract. However, one of the challenges many people face is that, despite thinking positively or visualizing what they want, the manifestation of those desires is not immediate. This happens because, in many cases, our conscious thoughts conflict with deeply ingrained subconscious beliefs that limit our ability to attract. This is where the law of assumption, a concept developed by Neville Goddard, comes into play. The law of assumption holds that to attract what we desire, we must act as if we have already obtained it, assume it is ours, and feel that it is already a reality. By adopting this attitude, we are not only aligning our vibration, but also creating a reality in our mind that will eventually reflect in the physical world. The simple act of assuming and feeling that you have achieved it creates a powerful vibration that, just like in the law of attraction, attracts the circumstances that match that assumed reality. The connection between these two laws can also be understood as a process of vibrational alignment and conscious creation. The law of attraction invites you to be aware of the energy you emit, while the law of assumption teaches you to live in that energy as if it were already yours. It's like activating an internal frequency that projects outward, in a continuous flow between what we believe, what we feel, and what we experience. Therefore, when we apply both laws together, we are not only attracting what we desire, but also convincing ourselves that it is already our reality, which accelerates the manifestation process. Money is an energetic flow. Wealth is often perceived merely as physical currency to acquire material possessions, but its essence is much deeper. wealth is a powerful spiritual energy. We can consider money as a kind of magic wand that can turn many of our desires into reality during our journey through the world. However, it is important not to idolize money and place it on a pedestal. We must be aware that the money we receive is the result, but not the underlying cause of its origin. Its source comes from the universe, the absolute, and through our being, our spirit, it is channeled to provide us with everything we need or desire on the physical plane. Money is not intrinsically good or bad. It is how you use it that will determine its condition. Money is a form of energy that can influence your world and circumstances. Therefore, it can be considered a magical tool. Possessing a substantial amount of money opens up endless possibilities. When we recognize economic wealth as an abundant divine flow, we can resonate with its vibrational nature and harness it consciously. Money as energy. First and foremost, it is crucial to understand that money is energy. We often make a distinction between the material and the spiritual, between the solid and the ethereal, considering them as separate and isolated entities. However, this is incorrect. Any material object, no matter how solid it may seem, is ultimately energy. Remember that everything is energy. Matter is simply energy vibrating at a lower frequency, allowing it to be perceived as something solid and perceptible by our senses. Paper bills and metal coins are just dense expressions of a more subtle financial energy flow. They act as vehicles to direct and materialize this flow, but they are not the flow itself. Just as love can be expressed in countless ways beyond hugs or caresses, prosperity manifests in many forms, including checks, stocks, investments, properties, and objects, which can provide us with security, well-being, experiences, and something very valuable: freedom. We should not limit abundance only to its grossest physical representation. Start seeing wealth as an energetic stream flowing through your life. You temporarily exchange portions of this intangible energy flow. It is up to you to be a conduit for that energy to flow abundantly and unrestrictedly, or to become an obstacle that it must avoid. Open yourself to receiving and directing this abundance of vibrant energy. The universe operates in infinite abundance. Scarcity and lack only arise from our limited perceptions. Just as the famous phrase goes, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but it can be changed from one form to another. The same applies to money, as its essence is energy. Energy that constantly flows around you and through you. There is enough financial flow to sustain us all on this planet. Believing otherwise is solely a limiting belief, and until it is removed from your mind, money will not flow easily. Limiting beliefs. It is important to recognize that the main barrier between us and abundance arises from a vibrational imbalance. There is no real scarcity, only the perception of it in your consciousness. The universe will reflect any fundamental belief you have about abundance, whether positive or negative. Since abundance is energy, you naturally attract it by resonating at its frequency. But most people tune in more to the frequency of scarcity and the feeling of not having enough than to its authentic, intangible, and abundant divine flow. This mismatch causes struggles and shortages. We have been repeatedly taught that the formula for achieving prosperity involves a considerable dose of sacrifice, tireless work, and unlimited dedication. We have been painted a scenario where, after years of excessive effort, we may secure a home and, if luck smiles upon us, allow ourselves a few scarce annual vacations. Although the merit of hard work is undeniable and deserving of admiration, it does not represent the only path to financial success. It is imperative to understand that our time and energy on this earthly plane are finite resources. As conscious beings, we must learn to manage them with intelligence and discernment. Often, we will make much more progress if we direct that effort inward, rather than focusing exclusively on external work. Often, we carry prejudices and constraints regarding money. We convince ourselves that wealth accumulation inevitably involves exploiting others, either through labor coercion or engaging in morally dubious practices. We look suspiciously at those who possess great fortunes, such as ruthless corporate leaders, assuming that their wealth is nourished by others' exploitation, or individuals who thrive through criminal activities, corrupt politicians. This association between abundance and ethically questionable behaviors generates a subconscious aversion to opulence in us, obstructing its flow into our lives. This internal conflict acts as a barrier to abundance, as we fear that possessing money will corrupt us and make us selfish. Frequently, it is the same power elites who instill these beliefs in us through the media or entertainment. They program our minds and immerse us in low vibrational states, not by chance, but with the purpose of keeping us trapped in scarcity and economic dependence, vibrating in fear and lack. Because an empowered person with good finances is harder to control. Start seeing abundance as a gift from the universe that arises from the value you provide to the world. Instead of working solely for compensation, enthusiastically embrace channeling your unique talents into meaningful service that makes a difference. When your work arises from purpose and passion, you open the floodgates to flow. Your actions raise your vibration to synchronize with the exalted frequency of abundance as sacred energy of the divine. This enormous shift in perspective quickly attracts financial abundance to you. Next, I leave you with a practice to create from the quantum field. Find a comfortable place where you can sit or lie down, preferably with dim light. Count down from 100 to 0, visualizing the numbers in the space between your eyebrows. Elevating your eyes slightly, about 20%, helps the brain enter alpha waves. If you get distracted or lose count, simply resume from where you left off. When you reach 0, you will be in a state of deep relaxation. Your breathing and heartbeat will have calmed, and your brain will be vibrating in more coherent alpha or theta waves. In this state, visualize what you want to manifest in your life, whether it is an experience, a personal change, or any goal you wish to achieve. Imagine you are already living that experience. Visualize yourself already in the achieved experience, recreating every detail in your mind. Visualize yourself as if you were programming a game that you will then experience in your three-dimensional reality. Live the scene as if you were there, feeling every detail. Imagine touching a surface and feeling the textures, making the experience in your imagination as real and vivid as possible. But the most important thing is to focus on the emotions. Feel full of gratitude and excitement because your desire has already been fulfilled. You can practice this exercise at any time, but an excellent option is to do it before sleeping and then listen to an audio with positive affirmations until you fall asleep. It is also ideal to do it just upon waking, as at that moment the brain is in waves close to alpha. During the practice, it is crucial to remain in a state of deep relaxation, forgetting about your body and environment, and focusing on the experience in your imagination. Remember, the fundamental aspect of this process is the feeling that accompanies your visualizations. The images help you create an emotional experience and define your intention, but it is the emotion that will make you vibrate at the frequency of your desire, attracting it by resonance. This game you are programming, the universe, is very creative, and it will guide you towards your destiny through synchronicities, unexpected events, and serendipities, making the journey more interesting and enriching. Of course, we should also take physical actions that support our desires, but these will be actions that arise in a fluid and natural way. That's it for today's video. I hope this information has been useful and enriching. Thank you very much for watching until the end. See you soon.